Long time no see. It is good to be back. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Skye, and Kyler and I used to run this channel, and then we graduated college, and then went to graduate school for some reason. And yeah, you know, we study and work and try to eat and sleep and all those other things. So we just really ran out of time to do YouTube and to actually do the things that we talk about on YouTube, like reading and watching movies. So this is my effort to kind of get back into it. We are not going to be as regularly as we used to be, but we're going to do our best. And with this welcome back, I am going to start with a book review. And I am reading The Name of the Wind by Patrick Rothfuss and The Wise Man's Spirit by Patrick Rothfuss. These books are beefy. The first one, Name of the Wind, is like 600, almost 700 pages. This one is 1,000. It took me 7 months to read these two books, so that should give you an idea of how little time I have had to actually read and do these videos. I mean, I know these books are huge, but still, that's no excuse. So I'm going to talk about these books and why I love them so much. I haven't done a book review in a long time, but these books need it, especially since the series isn't complete and there's still another book that is being worked on right now by Patrick Rothfuss, and I'm really excited for it to come out. I'm going to start by talking about Name of the Wind. So these stories talk about this man named Kvothe, and I might call him Kvothe because that's what I thought his name was for a really long time. I've also heard Kvothe. I'm not 100% sure how to pronounce his name, but I'm going to go with Kvothe. This story begins with Kvothe as a man. His age isn't really clear or defined, and he is fighting a demon, and then you find out he is the innkeeper of this little place. Then this guy named the Chronicler, who was like famous because he can write stories really fast and he's a really famous writer, he comes along and he realizes that the innkeeper, who goes by Coat, is Kvothe, and he's like, oh my Lanta, can I please write down your story? And he's like, actually no, that's not even what happens. I'm pretty sure Kvothe tells him, he's like, you are going to write my story because I want it straight. Because he is like this man of myth, this man of legend, that all of these stories go around being told about him, and there's truth in some of them, not truth in others, and he just kind of wants to set the record straight and get, in his own words, his own life story. And that is basically, the books are him telling his story to the Chronicler, and it goes back in time from when he is a kid and his upbringing with the troupe, and then the tragedy in his life and how he gets into the university and how he learns to fight and his crazy adventures, and it is everything a person who likes fantasy needs in their life. This world that Patrick Rothfuss creates is just something it's so detailed. He even comes up with his own weeks and his own months, to the point where when I first started reading it, I didn't know what day it was. I didn't know what it meant when they talked about, oh, I perform only on felling. Like, I don't know what that means. I don't know what that means at all. And then in his 10th anniversary edition of Name of the Wind, he released like a little map of, or a calendar, not a map, that doesn't make any sense. There's maps in the books, but then there's like a calendar of all the days of the week and what they mean, and it's 11-day week. So it kind of helps you understand the story a little bit better, which I kind of wish I would have had, or at least put the effort in to look up when I first read Name of the Wind, but I digress. I'm going to talk about 3 things with this book. Number 1, the characters. Number 2, the world and all of that, and number 3, the plot. So we'll start with the characters. These characters are so cool. Kvothe is really cool. I'm like, he's really cool, he's fine, it's okay. But there's Denna, and I love Denna, and she's so deep and mysterious and has so much great backstory that we like just in the second book you're just beginning to uncover, and I'm really excited, and I hope you get to learn more about her backstory in the 3rd book, because she is super cool and kind of badass, and I love her. And then there's Kvothe. I mean, his story is wild. Obviously, he's a man of legend. He is a man of myth. He is a man who needs to tell his own story in order for people to understand it properly. So that just gives you an idea of how crazy his life is. And then there's his friends. And his friends are so good. And it took me a little bit of time, which I'm a little disappointed in myself, to really keep them straight, who they were, where they were from, and understand that. And he also has these, they're called masters when he goes to the university, who each of them is super unique and really cool, and some of them are jerks and some of them are really complicated and you kind of want to know more about them. There's so many characters in this story and they all have these great backstories that kind of like, you just kind of begin to chip away at the surface. And I know like as the books have progressed you learn more about them, but then I know there's going to be more and I'm really excited. But I want to talk about how there's even culture with each of these characters and culture in regard to where these characters are from, which leads me into my next point, which is the world. This world is so vast. Each country has their own customs and their own stereotypes, which is so crazy, and I don't really learn about them until the second book, and I want to reread the books now that I know the stereotypes and now that I understand them better. And they have these like phrases, and it's like in America how we have our own customs with different cultures, like, oh, it's like, oh, if you're from California you're a surfer dude or a valley girl, if you're from New York you're really rough and all these things, and it's like, those aren't true, but that's what we perceive these people as, and that's what they have in these books too. They have these people from these places, and if you're from this place it means this one thing, if you're from here you're probably this. So in addition to having these cultures in this world, they each have languages too, and you don't really learn the languages except for one language, which the Adam language is really, really cool. It's sort of like their hand language, which is a little bit of a spoiler. I'm not gonna really talk about it too much, but that was super cool, like a super cool concept to me and to even think about, and I was kind of like, man, I want to see this book as a movie or a TV show just to see how they pulled off the hand language, because it's so interesting to me. Last thing I want to talk about is the plot of these books. So this plot is really great because it is just chronological and it goes throughout, and Patrick Rothfuss, at first I didn't like it, but it's kind of grown on me, just has like a crazy attention to detail, and he will draw something out so long. It'll take like 100 or 200 pages to describe something, and it's like, later it doesn't even become super important, and and Patrick Rothfuss just goes into way too much detail, and sometimes it's overwhelming and it's like, I don't really want to know that or care to know that, and sometimes it's like, wow, I wish there was actually more regarding this one thing right here. And he does a lot of kind of assuming, like with the calendar, going back to that, he just will mention these things, but he doesn't bother to explain it. And other books, when you read, other books I read, they'll mention something and they'll say it's this, and then go into more detail at least at the beginning and give background of it. Patrick Rothfuss doesn't do that. He doesn't do that for the locations and their culture, and he does not do that for the calendar either. He just kind of throws them in context, like if you just moved to a new country and you didn't know things and you heard people talk about it. And I like that in some regard because it kind of creates more of that suspension of disbelief, but at the same time it throws you off because you're like, I don't even know what he's talking about. So it's a good and a bad thing, I guess. Overall, these books were amazing. They were so good. It took me 7 months to read these books, but it was such a good 7 months, and it has been so hard not having these books. I think about them all the time still. I am currently trying really hard to make my way through American Gods by Neil Gaiman. I don't know how to say his name, but I'm currently trying really hard to make my way through that. It's not going well. I don't know if I'll finish it, and I don't know if this is a book hangover or if I just don't like it. He's not happy right now. Milo, look, there's you. Oh, he's done. Well, Milo and I are saying bye. If I finish American Gods, maybe I'll give a review of it. Maybe you'll see it in another video. Hopefully. Until then, let me know what you think of these books, and let me know how excited you are for the third book, and if you know anything about when that book is coming out, because I don't. And I would really like to know. Until then. Farewell. I don't even know what I was gonna say. I just said it. Okay, characters. The world. And then the plot. And it's all this craziness. Kyler's home. I called it.
Oh, hi Mom. Watch Donnie Darko?
I started it. It's slow.
It's terrible.
Have you seen it?
Yeah.
I don't know. know you've seen it.
Yeah, it makes you question your existence.
Oh God, don't say that.
Yeah.
I've heard it was good.
Has Patrick Swayze in it. Is any Patrick Swayze movie good?
I've heard, yeah, I've heard things. I saw bits of.
Other than Roadhouse. Roadhouse.
I've never seen Roadhouse. You let me lose my train of thought.
Choo choo.
Apparently my legs were, what's the word? Knees were locked. Do you mind?
No.
Can you not?
I could not, as you say.
Like, it'll be like later in the second book. I'm like, I completely forgot that whole phase in Kavoth's life even existed. Are you getting mad? Make your crackers crinkle?
My mom asked cracker.
Okay. Be quiet over there.